Is crazy, unprecedented, and there's really no means for a filibuster or anything like that in the House. It's really reserved for the Senate, based on the rules. It really, the Republicans, those who've been elected into the majority, are in charge, and it got heated. It was unprecedented last night.
Can we just recap? How many are still there? Is it 12 Democrats?
About a dozen.
dozen Democrats.
Yeah.
And yesterday
There's 2 Republicans, I think.
Well,
there might be a couple of Republicans in there,
I'd like to clear that up if we can, because I thought earlier we had said there were 30 Democrats and 2 Republicans who were sitting on the floor.
I think there's only, I could be wrong, but I think there's only a dozen Democrats that are still
staying.
left.
They're staying.
I don't know for a fact, and I don't know the names of all of them, but
there may have been a little protest during session yesterday that was 30 Democrats and 2 Republicans who sat on the floor. Am I correct on that? Now, do you remember?
There was a bit of a sit-in, yeah, and at times it looked like they were storming the stage. I mean, it was completely out of control, and one could look at that and say disrespectful, just breaking all the rules. The Democrats are going to come out of this looking really badly. If you're looking it's all about where they can position the argument, I think, and that is if you can position the argument that, listen, we understand the Second Amendment, but we cannot live with allowing for terrorists to get these guns. It's ridiculous that we're not voting to prevent these terrorists from getting guns. That's going to be your argument. And does that argument stick across the country? And I think right now it does. I'm not endorsing it, please understand. I'm saying that's what they're going to say. And I think it sticks. Because as of right now, what happens in November, I have no idea. But these people are looking at the blood on the streets in Orlando, and they're emotionally
charged. Yeah,
charged right now.
Yeah.
So there are 16 Democrats as of about 45 minutes ago,
sitting in there.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
So do you remember?
Was she going to stay the whole weekend, or is she going to go home for a barbecue?
But 16.
I can't imagine she's going to stay the whole weekend.
I can't either.
There's 16.
Yeah. But remember, the point is, it's not about anything else except for, are you going to cover the story? And the media is going to be all over this story. They already are. Some of the stories are so incredible right now. When they lead off the story, they lead by saying that here's your lead sentence. Believe it or not, despite the blood that has been exposed in Orlando, legislators still aren't doing anything. That's a lead sentence on that's a lead headline, national news.
I think that's...
it's wrong, Christine. It's absolutely wrong, but it exists. So they're going to cover this story all weekend long. And remember, many people aren't on vacation starting on Friday. All next week, many will be working and not start their week's vacation until afterwards. But this is going to be the lead story. Now, what do these guys do? You got 16 of them there. They're going to rotate in and out. They're going to keep it, at all times, at least maybe a dozen, and do their little sit-in. It's going to be something for everybody to cover all week long. And at least right now, I think they're winning.
It's unfortunate that this is going on. The message that comes out of this, you're right, Bill. But if all, was it 4 or 6 bills? Had they all passed, none of them...
That was in the Senate, and they failed in the Senate.
Would any of these bills change what happened in Orlando?
Nothing would change what happened in Orlando. There's no, other than reducing the constitutional rights of an American citizen, I don't know anything, or an all-out ban on these, they call them assault weapons, and we know that that's really an unfair, it's unfair terminology to use, but at the end of the day, short of that, and no bills have even talked about those, the AR-15s or any of that stuff. None of those bills have talked about a ban on any of that stuff.
The other thing is, when you're talking about the messaging that says, do we want terrorists to get a gun? We have to stop this, right? I think we all agree that that's true, right? We don't want a terrorist to get a gun. This guy, it was different because this guy was an American citizen. Again, I cannot get over the fact that the FBI questioned him 3 times and that never... he was still able to go buy a gun. And I know he wasn't charged with anything.
Yeah.
But
that's
some
the
of
one
the
thing
things he said.
That's the one thing no one is talking about, is that this really falls onto the FBI. But that's not the story now, because everybody's now they're seeing opportunity. If you If you want more gun restrictions, you're seeing opportunity, and they're taking advantage. This phrase, do you want terrorists to be able to go out and buy a gun? That whole talking point was created in some Washington or New York City boardroom by a PR firm. That's what that whole thing is. Mm-hmm. And they've chosen, all right, this is our strategy, just like when you create a political commercial. It's the same thing. So we're going to hammer that, keep hammering that, because the American public doesn't look at anything. We don't dig deeper. We just take what's on the surface. And so does the media. They're going to be running with it as well. That's the problem with this, and it's the problem with any time after a terrible shooting like what happened in Orlando, is that, people are emotional, and the other side digs in and takes advantage. And that's exactly what those guys are doing. There's no legislation that's going to come out of this. That's the funny part. And it's not what they're looking for. They're looking for votes in November. Got a break. Here's actually, is Joe coming in? Andrew, do we have something with Joe here?
7:50.
All right. I want to talk because, the lights over the brewery. The lights over the brewery. The new cans are out. I had somebody this morning send me pictures of the old cans. That new logo, that new Utica Club can really goes back to an older can. And it is a retro can. There was a can that looked like that, but it was the one that kind of had the cone cans. Do we know what they're called? Do they call them the cone cans?
I don't know.
So they're kind of, when you get a can of oil and those old cans of oil, and they had that cone
the funnel thing.
It almost had like a little funnel on it. That's what these cans did. These Utica Club cans, and it's the same logo that was on those years ago. This new logo is the logo that's up on the lights, as the lights will officially come on next Wednesday night, I believe, over the brewery. Pretty excited about it.
We were there. I was there yesterday for a Boilermaker meeting, and they have, in the room we were in, like this big display case of old cans, old bottles.
Yeah.
And I was talking about the new can, and I said, it looks very sharp and crisp and clean and smooth, the can,
Yeah.
And one of the guys from UTR next to me goes, "Stop it, you're making me really thirsty."
Yeah.
He's like, crisp and clean. And, it was just, I don't know. It looks good. I think it's really
I like
good.
it. Andrew.
What's old is new again.
Were you just waving to me or something? Hello, Andrew. How you doing?
Hi, Bill.
Good morning. Good morning to you. I got a break. Joe Lode has an event coming up, and I want to talk to him about this Utica Club issue and the gun issue as well. He's very passionate about that. Big time passionate about that. We'll come right back here at WIBX.